Peeps, Kenny Molotov here at home, and I just wanted to talk to you guys briefly about the things that I'm bringing into plumbing school. Now, I know a lot of you are just starting your apprenticeship, or you're trying to get into your apprenticeship and you know that you're gonna have to eventually go into school once you finally get registered. So I wanted to go through the materials that I'm bringing that are gonna make my life easier and the reasons why I bring them. Now, here's the thing you gotta know. I'm doing my plumbing apprenticeship here in Ontario, and for the specific school that I'm going to, they gave me a material list of things to bring, which I will go through with you right now. I assume that your school and my school will have some overlap, but keep in mind your school might actually ask for things that my school might not. So that's just something to keep in mind, but this still should be useful for you, so let's get into it. So the first thing and the most important thing that you're gonna need to bring is going to be a 3-ring binder. The one that I bought last year and I'm going with this year is the 5-star one, and this is an opening case that has a zipper on it, just like so. So what I really like about this thing is, first of all, it's a 3-inch binder, so it's gonna be able to take a lot of paper if you need to. Sometimes in plumbing school, they'll give you book sets for the year, so you're gonna have to have a lot of space in order to fill this thing up. The second thing that I really like about this is that I can take my plumbing code book usually with all my papers, stick it inside with my pencil case, zip that bad boy up and get into class just with one thing in my hand. It's not always ideal because as you progress through the 8 weeks, you're gonna find that this gets thicker and thicker and thicker, and by the end of it, I think I was carrying my plumbing code book separately, basically. But a 3-inch or 4-inch 3-ring binder is gonna be crucial for you, so make sure to get a really solid one. The second thing that you're gonna need is going to be a stack of paper, and honestly, I'm not sure if this is going to be enough for 8 weeks, but this is what I'm bringing with me. I'm not gonna take it all at once, obviously. I am gonna continue to fill the binder up, but a stack of paper is crucial because that's how you're gonna take notes and that's how you're gonna study at the end of the week as well. Always have this on hand because you're gonna need them. The third thing that you're going to need is a plumbing code book. This is the Ontario Plumbing Code Book here in Ontario, Canada. This is the one that I've been using for the past 4 or 5 years of my apprenticeship, and you're gonna go out and get whatever plumbing code book that is specific to your state, province, city, etc. And from what I understand, this year in my advanced plumbing class, I'm gonna be given the Canadian plumbing code book, which is the national code book, which is something that we're gonna be learning within the following weeks. So you gotta have it. And one interesting thing somebody did in class was they wrote their names on the side of it. This says my last name. So that's one way to make sure that if this ever gets misplaced and somebody accidentally picks it up instead of theirs, you have it, you know it's yours because it's got your name on it. So you're gonna need a ton of different rulers because you're gonna get into drawing. Now here's something you gotta keep in mind. I always carry a protractor on me just in case, but it's not something that's in the kit and that is asked for. Small little rulers are awesome. I find that at the beginning of the day, what I typically do is I get into class, I write down the date, I underline the date, and I start writing the notes out that way. So these small ones are gonna be perfect, and also you're going to eventually have to do small drawings, so any sort of small rulers will be useful, especially if you're working in a tight space. Now, something to keep in mind when you get into the more difficult drawings like isometric, you're gonna need some rulers just specifically for this sort of situation, which includes a 30-degree and 60-degree set square. This ruler right here has a 60-degree line just like so, and then a 30-degree line just like that. And this is an isometric drawing ruler, so what you're gonna do is continuously flip this in order to get the right angles to make it look that 3-dimensional isometric look. The second thing you're gonna need is a 45-degree set square, which looks just like so. So these both sides are gonna be 45-degree angles essentially, and they also suggest that you get a 4 to 5-inch one just like this one right here, because when you start doing the isometric drawings, you're gonna notice that they're really big drawings actually. So the larger your set squares, the easier it is to make straight lines all the way through, rather than taking a small ruler and continuously moving up, which can set the line off. So one thing that you got to keep in mind, I have a ruler somewhere which has a really nice hole in it, just like this, but the hole is just a little bit bigger in diameter, and you're gonna need something that creates a hole that you can trace. I've used this USB stick in the past because it's got a really nice size. You're gonna notice that when you do top-down views of pipes, you're gonna need to be able to trace a perfect circle so that when you're reading the blueprint, you'll know that you're looking at an open pipe from above. So that's something something to keep in mind. You're gonna need something that'll trace a really nice small little circle. They asked us to bring in a calculator. From what I understand, I'm not sure if there's gonna be a big math portion this year. All my friends that already went to plumbing school for the third time, they said that there wasn't a large one, but in year one and year two, a small little calculator was really crucial because you had an entire program on trade math. So the two types of pencils that I'm bringing are a mechanical pencil with the lead and also just a regular pencil that you need to have a sharpener for. I actually like working with these the best because I find that they're sturdy, but whenever you gotta do really fine line work, this is the guy I tend to go to, especially when I'm tracing a circle or something like that. I like the width of the lead and I like the feel of being able to get those really fine lines. So that's something useful with a mechanical pencil. By the way, you gotta know that when you're doing drawings, at least here in Ontario, the three different colors that we work in when we're doing drawing is red, green, and blue. Red represents sanitary drainage, blue represents storm drainage, and green is your venting system. So I went out and I purchased a couple of different ones. The first one is the Atlantis Bic pens that I typically buy. These guys have served me really well in the past. This is the brand that I suggest because I really like the width of the line that this ballpoint pen will give you. I have worked with another set of pens. Let me go get them for you right now. I've worked with the Pentel RSVP. Now these pens right here I really love. I love their feel. I love the line that they make, but what I've noticed in the past is a couple of things. First of all, the line is substantially thinner than this line right here. So when I'm doing really fine work, this is what I typically use because of that. Whenever I do my own visual arts, this is the pen I go to because I love the feel and I love the line. But when you're doing plumbing work, I find that if you can get a thicker line that's still relatively thin, if that makes any sense at all, rather than fat. I really hate fat lines and I find that the teachers didn't like fat lines either. The Atlantis is what I usually go for. Really good pens. And then if I run out of these guys, I do go with the Pentel RSVP, but I'll go over those lines more than once in order to make them a little bit thicker. And then just for writing, the pens that I go for are these guys. They are the round stick Bics smooth writing. Guys, I can't give these enough compliments. I'm a huge fan of these. They are just so damn smooth. The ink comes out so damn easy and they also aren't really runny or anything like that. They're just solid pens. $1.50 for 12. You can't go wrong with this. So we got the pens out of the way. You're gonna need a couple of erasers. A couple of other things you might need, peeps, is a highlighter. You're gonna have to do some reading during class, so sometimes you're gonna need to highlight the most important facts. That way you know that you have to go back and study them by the end of the week. And the other thing that I should mention is you probably wanna buy a lock for yourself. At least with the school I'm going to, they do offer you lockers, but in order to use the lockers, you need to bring your own supplied lock. That way you can throw your lunch and stuff inside, and that way you don't have to carry everything all at once to class. And last but not least, I got some cue cards. Cue cards I use for things like memorization as I'm progressing towards the end of the week, which is when we have our final test. So I went out today and I purchased a bunch of these things and it ran me up around 50 bucks basically. What took the brunt of that was the binder right here. This itself was $20. Then the rest came out to around another $20 as well. So it was a necessary evil. I had to go get these things, but I found through the past 2 semesters of my plumbing apprenticeship that these are the tools that brought me through to the end and the ones that I fell in love with and I continuously worked with, which is what's most important. So what I suggest for you guys, if you are doing drawings and you're doing drawings with different pens and they gotta be of different colors, try a couple of sets out because that's how I ended up coming to the Atlantis. But that's what I suggest for you guys. Make sure you go out, buy a couple of different ones, try them out, see which ones you like working with better, because the better the relationship that you have with your pens, the better that the painting or the picture is going to turn out. And the same thing goes for binders as well. Initially in my first year, I didn't have a binder like this that you can zip up. I had just a regular binder that treated me pretty well, but there was something a little bit awkward about carrying a couple of things. I'd have my binder in one hand, my pencil case in the other, with my plumbing code book. With this one, at least for the first few weeks, I'll be able to cram everything inside, just zip it up once, and it'll make it easier getting to and from class, and that way I can also bring a steep tea into class, if you know what I'm saying. Peeps, I know this is a little bit of a weird cut. I'm all of a sudden wearing a new outfit. I edited this entire video and I realized after a whole week of school that there were things that I had missed and things that I needed to bring that I didn't bring. So I wanted to give you fully updated cut. That way you know exactly what I'm bringing. So the first thing that I wanted to say is you need to buy a scale ruler. This ruler is designed to be able to do isometric drawings or any sort of drawing where one tick of this will describe how many feet on the job site you are currently dealing with. So for example, you're gonna get a scale from time to time on a drawing that says every 3/4 of an inch on the drawing will represent 1 foot in real life. And that's what this is showing you right here. You have a 3/4 scale where every tick from 0 to 1 will represent 1 foot. Every tick from 1 to 2 will represent 1 foot. The way this works is it has different scales on it. So if you take a look, this right here is 1/4 of an inch per foot. So every tick you're gonna have 1 foot, etc. So this is really crucial when you start doing your drawings, and it's something that I had to put in the video because this is something I needed from year 1 essentially. Now another thing I wanted to let you guys know is I ran to the bookstore and I got that ruler I was talking about. This ruler right here has that pretty little hole that I was trying to tell you guys about. When you're doing a top-down drain view, this little hole right here is a perfect template to make a nice little circle out of. So that's something that I purchased. Again, it was only 60 cents. It was well worth it. Now, one thing that's a little bit different from this year, my advanced plumbing from the years before, there are a couple of subjects that require their own binders altogether. And the reason why is because I'm gonna need to access these notes very quickly. And I just wanna talk to you guys briefly about it because in the years previous to this, I found that I could have one binder for each and every one of these. But in this instance, I'm gonna have a backflow test, for example, and I will need to be able to access those backflow notes right away and even bring that binder along with me on the job site, because once I'm certified in backflow, I can actually work in backflow. I ended up running out and grabbing a second binder. This one is specifically for my backflow course, and we should get an extensive amount of information on that, so that's why it has its own allocated binder. But the other one that was necessary to go out and buy another 5-star binder, which is 3-inch, is our exam preparation course, which is for our national exam in order to get licensed. Now the teacher ended up showing us his binder, which was 3 or 4 inches, and it was full to the brim. It was a disaster. So the moment I saw that, I realized to myself, okay, I'm gonna have to get an entire binder just for this, because he's gonna give us a ton of notes out there, which I'm happy for, but I won't be able to sustainably juggle all of that in the one binder that I showed you in the previous cut. So I am carrying 3 binders with me, this one, the white one, and then the first one that I had shown you. So peeps, that was the full version of everything you're gonna need in plumbing school. Let me know in the comments below what differences you had in your plumbing schools in comparison to mine, because I'm sure there's some overlap and I'm sure there's some differences, and I'd love to know what those are. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment below, and I'll see you guys very soon. Kenny Molotov, guys. Peace, baby.